Welcome, everybody. What is going on? Hello, hi. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to the first episode of Scav House, a Tarkov podcast. Guys, let me go ahead and unmute here. We're going to have... guys, welcome, everybody. We are going to be joined today by Tarkov Reporter for our very first inaugural episode of Scav House, a Tarkov podcast. What is going on? How are you today, Tarkov Reporter?
Doing fantastic, Bunny. Thanks. How are you?
Dude, I am doing amazing. I'm excited to bring this kind of a new take on a podcast for Tarkov, where I want to kind of discuss and have really big discussions about what we can expect, what we're seeing in the Tarkov community, some hot topics that people are talking about on Twitter and Discords, things like that. And I'm excited to have you for our first episode. Do me a favor, go ahead and tell everybody about you, because you're interesting in the Tarkov community.
Where to start? I started streaming a few months ago. I had this idea of being like the press guy, like the media guy in Tarkov, as like a former journalist myself. And started sort of as just on Twitter and messing around on Twitter, having fun. Eventually decided to start streaming, and here we are a few months later, going to be streaming 5-6 days a week now. So really excited about that. You can find me twitch.tv/Tarkov Reporter, at Tarkov Reporter on basically all channels. Love to see you hanging out in the channel. Just throw me a follow on Twitter, wherever. I don't know if you want to know anything else, but no,
that's awesome. I mean, because it was very interesting, because when I started with Evasion and everything, and I started seeing you around, it kind of grew from this, where you were reporting on a lot of the esports aspects of Tarkov. You were reporting on pretty much a lot of just anything that was happening in Tarkov. Right. So it was very cool to see you. And then you have a new thing going on with Evasion, if you want to tell people about that, if it's not, secrets or anything like that.
No, it's not a secret at all. So when I first started doing this, I reached out to like Philbo and Iron Fist for some of the tournaments they were doing, and just to see if like they would let me clip some of their tournaments and turn it into a Sports Center show. And they were cool with it, and strangely, all the people participating were also cool with it. So I put those together on my own. They were pretty shoddy. I'm not that great at video editing. But I thought they were fun. And then a little while later, after I've been doing that on my own for a bit, Sigma sent me a message and asked if I wanted to do that for Evasion. So with the support of Sigma and the Evasion team, like Hotel Bravo, who's, if those of you don't know Hotel, he's an amazing dude. They've been helping me put the show together. And just about every Friday now that Evasion's running their tournament, we do a pregame show leading into the Evasion. Right now it's EU Duos. So leading into the Evasion EU Duos tournament tomorrow, we'll have a pregame show probably at 10:30 Pacific time. So I know that makes no sense to the EU viewers, but what Pacific time means. But come check us out a little earlier before the tournament, and we'll get you some highlights from last week, get you set up for the weekend ahead.
Yeah, and I'm excited because I know that the pre-show happens, and then Hotel sticks around, and then I'll be casting tomorrow's tournament and Saturday's tournament. So I'm very excited. I'll be joined by Jipo tomorrow. Well, let's get into that aspect of it, because there's been talks, and I know a lot of people on Twitter and things like that. They say, hey, Tarkov's not a competitive shooter, and it's not in the description as a competitive shooter, and maybe it's the definition of what a competitive shooter is. Because for me, a competitive shooter is anytime people are competing against each other, regardless of whether the game was made as a competitive shooter. When you're competing in a atmosphere like this, it makes it a competitive shooter. It makes it competitive. Do you agree? Like, what's your stance on it?
Yeah, I tend to agree that you can. I'm a very competitive person, even though I'm pretty much trash at this game. I'm very competitive. Anything I do, I coach high school football, and I will compete with those kids to the day I die. Like I will want to run routes with them in practice, even though I'll get my ass kicked because I'm an old man now. I love competing. So even though this game wasn't built as a competitive shooter, you can make competitions out of it. that doesn't mean that it, I mean, and even though it's not in a state necessarily where, you're going to have fair fights all the time, and everyone's seen the clean video that's going around about EFT not being a competitive game right now. And nor will ever be, probably, from his standpoint. But you can still have fun with it and turn EFT into a competition if you want. And a lot of people have done that successfully and had a lot of fun. And I think it's developed a really cool community on Twitch and elsewhere as well. Just just people competing in a game that is so messed up and has so many problems with it. And I'm glad that they're doing it. I think it's added to the wipe cycle of the game, because people get just crazy bored with it after a
Mhm.
few months.
Yeah.
So these competitions really add to the life cycle of the game, and uh, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? What? Who
But like,
cares?
but like that's my issue with a lot of the statements. Like Clean said, he doesn't consider it a competitive shooter. But I'm like, people have turned games that are not competitive games at all. Like, you look at speed running. Speedrunning is not competitive in the sense of what the developers designed for the game. But speedrunning is an extremely competitive market. Like, it's a competitive niche that people do. Like, you can't sit there and tell me that those guys aren't competitive with one another when they're literally trying to shave milliseconds off of a run. Like, what makes it competitive then? What if it doesn't have competitive shooter in the title? What makes it and he competed, like, that was my thing. He competed in Rivals, which is a competitive adventure. Like, you know what I mean? It's a competitive undertaking.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna. He's allowed to play in Rivals if he wants. Like, he can, even if he thinks it's not a competitive shooter, he can still enter those events. Like, I think that those two things are not mutually exclusive. But yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But you know what? People can say what they want about the game. It's definitely in a bad state from like a desync standpoint. The servers are not fantastic, and you're not going to have fair fights.
Right.
So you're not going to be. It's not a competitive shooter in the way that Call of Duty is, or any of the traditional arcade shooters.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't have a competition in it.
Yeah.
I'll have a competition with some random person on the street. Just who can walk to the red light faster. I don't know, like whatever. Like, just put me and someone else into something. I'll compete with them. I don't care what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, that's to me, like and by any means, and I don't ever want anybody to think that like I'm knocking Clean. I think Clean has done some of the best work for Tarkov. He has been a part of the community for a very, very long time. I don't remember when exactly he started playing, because I remember I started playing Tarkov like, I'm not an original. Like, I wasn't in the closed alpha, but I was really early into it. I remember watching like Grims and Cletus and Deadly way right back. I like right when it came out of closed alpha, I found out about this game and I started watching it. And then I picked it up, I believe it was June or July of 2018.
Okay.
Might have been like I've been around years. Like, I've seen everything change. Like, we didn't even have med animation. So like, for me, it's one of those things where it's like I have my opinions, but I feel like my opinions are just like I've been around. I know what I'm talking about. I've seen this game change as much as anybody else. And for people like to sit there and say over and over that it's not a competitive shooter, I'm like, well, it is, though. Like, even though it doesn't say it in its name, the entire basis of a competitive shooter to me is beating the other person at a gun game, winning, and yes, we get to survive. Like, that's our whole entire point. Right. We need to survive, and there are smart ways and dumb ways to do it. But sitting there, but like saying that it's not competitive, to me, I just don't agree with that, and I mean, you can vouch for that. How many competitions are going on right now?
Oh, too many, too many to just put into one sentence. I mean, aside from Evasion, which you can catch this weekend on Evasion_GG, of course. which I think starts at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm a West Coast guy, so I'll always talk in Pacific time. West Coast, Best Coast. Yeah, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend Evasion. But aside from that, I know Iron Fist and Filbo have a couple things coming up in June, I think it is. So yeah, they have the hunt coming up early June 7th to 10th. Another hunt tournament coming up later in June 21st to 24th. If you've never seen Iron Fist and Filbo tournaments before, they are really well done. And they always have some incredible creators playing in them. So go check them out as well. And Iron Fist is actually in the tournament this week, the Evasion tournament. They're both in that tournament this weekend. They both qualify for the semifinals. So good for them. But aside from that, one tournament that is kind of off the beaten path that I have on my calendar is that friendly guy TTV. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Bunny. He's a pacifist in Tarkov, and he goes through the game without killing people. He will help people by just giving them random items in game, and he's some really interesting content. He has a tournament coming up in July where you lose points for shooting your weapon.
All right, so, I like that.
That I'm actually gonna try to get into and see if I can play in it. I'm really looking forward to that one.
But I would like to see that one.
Yeah, that like you say it's not a competitive game, but you can literally compete by not shooting other people. So that's something I'm looking forward to doing. I mean, there's the face-off tournaments that Shifty puts on. I think he's got one coming up at the end of May. I think that's a duos tournament, both EU and NA. Oh my goodness, who else?
So many.
Oh my god,
I love it.
One Delta Street has a league. This is something that I love. I throw it on my calendar every Tuesday. It's morning for me, afternoon for East Coast people, and it has people like Florence, Bams, Ginge, Azzy, Walker, Filbo. It's a freaking league. It's been going on for like 5 or 6 weeks now, and they got a few weeks left. That I love what One Delta Street is doing. He's got some interesting stuff too, and if y'all never seen him before, go check him out. And then there's Endra and the Yoinks, who have just like a insane lineup of people planned out for, I think, their Kill Confirmed tournament in early June. It's like those two have been putting on some amazing events for the community as well. Really looking forward to that. Sorry, there's some background noise here. Give me a minute. I'm gonna close my window.
No, you're good, buddy. You're good. Yeah, Indra and I know Indra and Yoinks. Like, Indra's been putting on Tarkov tournaments for a very, very long time. Let's see, Indra's been putting on her solo tournaments for quite a long time, and Yoinks has joined her in those tournaments now, and they've been putting on some really, really good stuff. Now, on the Filbo and Iron Fist, if you guys are interested in joining those tournaments, make sure you are following both of those gentlemen on Twitter. Iron Fist, I believe it's Iron Fist TV, and Filbo. I gotta remember. I will get their Twitter handles, and I will make sure I put them down in the description box, because you will be able to find this on Apple. You will be able to find this. I'm posting, the podcast will be on everything. I will also be uploading the video to YouTube. It has to go up tomorrow because of Twitch affiliate contracting, all that stuff. So it will be on YouTube tomorrow. So I'm super excited. Thank you. Yep. Iron Fist _TV. Go follow both of those gentlemen. Also, Walker, I believe, is a part of that. Follow all of them on Twitter, and they post when their tournaments are going. So check that. Twitter's the best way to find out about a lot of these tournaments. That might be something, Tarkov Reporter, that maybe you should do, is get a Discord together, if there isn't already one out there, specifically for all of these tournaments, about how people can sign up.
Interesting idea, Bunny. Wow, yeah, I never thought of that before, but that is an interesting idea. I'll put that in my bag of tricks. We'll see.
Yeah, make sure you jot that one down. Let's use this as a segue to go into Twitch rivals that just happened. We had EU, We had NA just finish up on Tuesday. We were going to do the podcast on Tuesdays, but I was like, Rivals is going on. There's no way I'm doing a podcast while Rivals is happening. So we moved it to today. What is your feelings on the Rivals tournament? How did you think it was handled? Like, what do you think of the format of it?
Format was interesting. I thought it was better than in past years. I liked the achievement hunt. Thought that was kind of cool. I did think the playoff format was a little convoluted and they didn't explain it super well.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find anything on their website or on their social medias about what the point system was for the playoffs. I could see the playoff bracket, but I couldn't tell how they were going to score points in that. And then the tank battery thing led to some, I think, less than the gameplay with the tank battery was not. It led to some. I don't know how to describe it, but it wasn't. I don't think the tank battery was the best choice.
Yeah, it definitely led to some interesting moments. We'll put it that way. I come back to Clean because Clean is a very outspoken and opinionated person about Tarkov, and it's one of the things that whether you love or hate Clean, like it's one of the things that you can appreciate about him. And the fact that he had to come out on the Twitter afterwards and just kind of address the community, like, guys, like, get off your high horse. Like, why are you guys getting mad about the way that people play? And it's one of the things that I've always tried to preach in my chat to people is like, guys, if I die to an extract camper, that's on me. I didn't clear the extract or something like that. It doesn't matter what the other people do in their game, doesn't affect how I play the game. Like, I know these things, I need to be aware of them. Is it frustrating? Yes. Like, it is one of the most frustrating things that you will ever have happen to you. You when you die like that, you were just like, you were infuriated, but like it's always one of those things where I'm like, okay, you have to sit back and go, what could I have done better? So calling people like rats or this is rat gameplay because people weren't shift Wing, to me, I felt Rivals this time around showed what Tarkov kind of really is.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I thought a lot of people pointed that out afterwards. This is going to be true Tarkov gameplay. It's going to be very slow, and that's what I most enjoyed about this specific tournament. Is you don't see in a lot of tournaments is it's a lot slower gameplay with everyone being in the same lobby and being aware that you've got some of the best players in the world in your lobby. You had to play slower. You had to clear your corners a little bit differently. And on the subject of extract camping, I know what. I hate extract campers.
Yeah.
But who hasn't been extract camped? But I gotta say, I was playing with my friends one day, and I got killed in a raid interchange, and they were going to extract at on it. I can't remember if it was. I can't remember which of the extracts they were going to, but Exfil Camper TV was in that raid, and he was waiting for them with his friends at the extract. It was the funniest thing has ever happened in a game that I've been in, or that I was watching my friends play in Discord. They were so salty. They were so mad. Oh my God. It was just listening to them like absolutely whine and complain was one of the funny. Like I love my friends, but I do enjoy their misfortunes sometimes.
Of course, yeah. That's the whole point of Tarkov is you get to enjoy other people's misfortune. Let's be honest. When you take somebody's gear, you're enjoying their misfortune. So it's a special player that plays Tarkov. It's also surprising to me, like how many people, because of the way that certain situations played out, and we're not bashing anybody. We're not saying anybody's wrong or anybody's a bad player or anybody's a bad person here. We're just discussing what we saw. And it was interesting, though, seeing some people get upset because they thought people were extract camping, and they were like, this is Twitch Rivals. Why are you extract camping? And I'm like, to me, it's like, look, would it have been an unsportsman and really crappy thing to happen? Yeah, it would have been.
Sure.
But is it part of the game as of the way the game's designed right now? Yeah, like
especially given that you have the tank battery, you can't extract from the safe room because you don't have that key. you can't go to the no backpack extract. So people know what extract you're going to in Rivals. Like you have two choices.
Yeah. Now I did I did just get a message from some man. Some man was competing in the Rivals.
Hi, Some Man.
Some Man is a great, Some Man's great. He it was interesting.
On Sensei Scav's team. Congrats, Some.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. It was very interesting seeing Some Man play against Arson.
Yes, Team Corn.
Team Corn. Yeah, it was very, very interesting seeing these two guys who duo so much together. I mean, I've duoed with Arson once, and I found a red key card with him, so he's my lucky charm. We got to play again so I can get another one. But it was interesting seeing them play each other, and then like getting into that fight at the night buildings, and that
standoff between those two teams is really interesting. That was really cool.
But Some Man did sent me the scoring for the playoff. So the secure tank battery was 10 points per unit. So man, that seems like not a lot of points for that very heavy very heavy item.
Almost not worth it when you could just get the PvP points. I think if you got the tags, it was 10 points for a kill, right?
Yeah.
It was like 7 points for a kill and 3 extra for the tag. Some man correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, it's 7 points. I got it right here. Killing a PMC is 7 points. PMC dog tag found in raid and got it out. So you didn't even have to kill them. If you found a dog tag, you got 3 points for it.
Okay. I thought you might have had to kill, or maybe one of your teammates had to kill. I don't know. Maybe it was just found in raid dog tags though.
Yeah, here I'll shoot this over to you so you can see it also. 1 second, chat. There you go. That's what Some Man sent me right there. Perfect. Guys, also, if you are listening to this on YouTube or on Apple or wherever you listen to your podcast, we are doing this live. We will be doing it live bi-weekly right now on twitch.tv/UnfluffyBunny, my Twitch channel. We'll be hosting it here. I'm very excited to be doing this, and I appreciate everybody for listening. All right. So now that we have the point system there, and you can see that also. Yeah, so it doesn't look like it had to be one that you killed. It just looks like you had to find the tags and you got 3 points.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. You just got to be the last man standing.
which I really like, and we'll come back to that because that's going to segue into the next point of the entire podcast that I like, the big thing I want to talk about. So we'll come back to that. But the boss kill was 5 points. One boss guard was 1 point. Scaver Raider was 1 point. The cost of taken and secured loot from location for each player, 1 point for every 20,000 rubles. The items with only the found in raid state are accounted separately for each player, not for the team total. The equipment and loot taken from other PMCs without found in raid state are not counted. The price is taken from the item database. Okay. All right. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for that, Some Man, because was that ever talked about on Rivals, like this scoring system?
They glossed over it. At no point did they go through this in its entirety or have it up on the screen. That's what was one of my biggest issues that I had with the way they did it was they never fully explained this point system. And like I think someone in the Evasion Discord had to shoot me a message and tell me what it was about. You know what? I thought Sigma did a great job casting, and they needed more of her on that and less of the other two, to be perfectly fair. But I mean, those two guys, for what the knowledge that they had of the game, they did a good job. But we just need more Tarkov people involved in that. And probably on the back end too, because we saw a lot of switching between cameras in the middle of fights. And I was pulling out my hair, being like, switch back. And like they were at like a death screen of somebody. And I'm like, What? Like,
we talked about that, and like it's very important, and this is something that I like that I've started to learn, because casting is something that I'm very much enjoying, and it's something that I want to get more and more into. And I love casting for Evasion. It has been an opportunity that I can't thank Evasion enough for giving me, and it's really given me this desire to want to get into more and more of it. But it is good to have one person on the team, like the casters, like the host, who's just like doesn't know about it, because they can be the question guy, like why are they doing this. It gives a lot of information about newer people, so it's very good. But yes, Sigma went, like, letting her explain things and talk about things, because she, you know, she's got a few months on me in the Tarkov world, and it's like she's very knowledgeable, she's very good. Absolutely. So sending those questions to her is super important. But this is something like, I feel like they should have talked about this. Let the two co-hosts explain like what this meant, and that way it would have stuck in people's heads better about how the point system. Because I was sitting there going, why are they taking alkaline? Why are they taking this stuff? What do they do? I don't get it.
I had no idea why they were looting. I was so confused. Yeah, that's a great point. And a great point about having someone who's new to the game on the broadcast, because you're right, they're totally helpful for new players. But I think more from the production standpoint, whoever the producer is needs to know this game inside and out. Because there was a moment, I think everybody remembers, when Summer and was it Bams were both going towards Emercom extract with the tank battery, and they were on opposite sides of the road from each other. And anyone who's ever played Tarkov before knew exactly where those two were, and knew that they were going to walk right into each other. And they went from Summer's POV to Valion's POV, who was in the mall heading towards the railway extract. And at that point, I was losing my mind, because we were about to miss this crazy fight. And thankfully, someone got in their ear, I guess, because they went right back to Summer. Oh my god, they got to do better from a production standpoint.
I will say, from a production standpoint, the one thing that they need to do is they need to hire a co-producer that is very experienced in Tarkov. The other thing that they need to do is use picture-in-picture more, especially when you have two competitors that are right next to each other in a fighting situation, so that way the viewer can see it from both points of view at all times. And they weren't doing that enough, and I don't know why. I don't know what was going on. I mean, like, Rivals is very big. Rivals handles so many games. Huge. They do. Realistically, they do an amazing job about covering a magnitude of games that is just unfathomable. Like, when it comes to like the knowledge base of what they have to do, it's kind of astounding to me. So I don't discredit them for anything. They put on a heck of a show, probably, you know, one of the best Twitch Rivals we've seen in a long time, and one of the better competitions if they had explained a couple of things better.
I agree. Yeah, it's really well done. It was a lot of fun. I love the people who were in it. I thought they made great choices in who they brought in. I mean, there are certainly some people who got left out, and that's unfortunate. But like, I know, Bunny, you were waiting for your invite right up until game time. So
20 minutes before, 20 minutes before I sent that tweet out, I was like, I know Rivals is gonna message me. 20 minutes, we still have time. Then I realized a hotel messaged me and was like, oh, it's their email system, it's broken, that's why you didn't get it. Shit. I also thought they were like, oh, you're just way too good, we can't have you in it, because it wouldn't be fair. I was like, I understand, guys, it's fine.
You gotta turn the hacks off. That's all. Just turn your hacks off. Radar can't be on.
You gotta turn all the. I'm a one PC guy. Like, I barely can run and stream. Like, hacks just would blow my computer up. So if you've been to my stream, you know I don't hack, because I die way more than I kill. So
same. I'm still relatively new to streaming, and my stream has blown up on me like twice in the last week. I think I got that fixed, but like, I'm just like, holy crap, how do these people do it? But
it gets a lot.
Who is who is the most interesting team to watch in that tournament? And take some man's team out of it because I know he's in chat. But who is the most interesting team for you to watch in the Rivals tournament?
For me, one of the, like, I have to say it was, and I'm friends or acquaintances with most of the people that were in the competition. Queen, Arson, I know some man through Arson. I know like a lot of these other competitors through just different evasion stuff, through being in their streams, through talking to them. So I try not to let that bias come out for me, like Miss Magpie's team. Like, I was very interested. I really wanted Miss Magpie's team to go really far because they were the all woman squad. You know what I mean? Right. I was like, hey, the women of Tarkov are no joke, and people, sure, you know, people discredit them sometimes, and like a lot of the trolly Twitch chat people that we have, and I don't want to be on the other end of their barrel ever.
Hell no. Did you see what Queen FPS was doing on that Woods raid? Holy crap. She put the team on her back for that raid, took them right to the finals.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She got, I think some man said 70 points for that Woods raid. Some man, if I'm not mistaken, 70 points. Like
wild.
It was crazy. So for me, the team that I was most excited is I had to support my boy Arson. I loved Arson and Queen. I love both of them. Like, Queen is a great person. I need to try to get raids in with Queen sometime. But I really wanted them to do well, and I really wanted the all women's team to do well, just so that way it could just kick some people in the face, because I love it when that happens. So what about you? Who was your team?
I've been watching Genicals since she was like you know, like not even like she was barely an affiliate when I started watching her. And so she's one of my all-time favorite streamers. I love her to death. She's so community oriented, and just like her community, I've made so many good friends in that.
And that contagious laughter she has.
Oh my god, dude. And it doesn't stop sometimes. She's great. And so I was watching her and Crazen and J Dream play a little bit. It's too bad they didn't make the playoffs, but I think they had a lot of fun. And you know what, that kind of exposure for those three is great. And I think it's fantastic. She might not be you know, as Shift W key as some of the people in this tournament, but you know, she knows this game inside and out, and is as knowledgeable as anybody else, and she can hold her own with these people too. So
speaking of that, like it's so amazing to see all of these people who play together on a daily basis, because you had Action Jackson in it, you had Crazen, you had Jay, you had Genicals. They run a quad every Wednesday. They play together every Wednesday. So splitting them up and then letting Action Jackson go into his own team, and then you have Summit and Arson playing, then you have Queen, and like, I gotta say, Queen was very smart about the way she stacked her team, because she took Arson, who is a Shift W, you know, just machine. Then she took Sharptooth, who is a long range machine. And then she's like, I can play in the middle and I'll fill in with whoever needs help. And she's a machine. So like, it's no doubt in my mind why they did so well. Clintus as well was great. He's been in the Tarkov community. I remember watching him do some, like, I think it was key tool switches, like on Shoreline, before Shoreline had the resort, and I like, he's one of the ones that I started watching. Man, there were so many people in the tournament that I'm trying to recall everybody.
Yeah, I've got like the top 16 pulled up right now, and you got like Anthony Kongfan's team came in fourth, King's team came in third. I thought Kongfan chose some really interesting people for his team. He took a couple Twitch affiliates, Spoop and Kits, Kitsmai, and those two are gamers, and so that team was really interesting. You had Ginger Linus had a team, Aqua FPS didn't come in last.
Yeah, which is like, hey, good for him. Aqua, good job, buddy. Not last. Hey, I think this is 2 tournaments in a row you haven't come in last. Dude, you're getting better.
Good job, Aqua.
One Peg's team with Party Pineapple and Bams.
Yeah.
Like that was an interesting team. I was super excited to see how far. I love Party Pineapple. He's one of my co-hosts on Evasion. He's a great guy. I was very excited to see that team because that was very three different dynamic people also, and I think that suited them well because Bams is a great shot, and then you have the meme lord himself, One Peg. You know, I was surprised I just did not see KS23s all day from him.
That would have been funny. I wish he had done that. But oh well. There were so many great content creators in this. I mean, yeah, Trey 24K with Smitty Stone and Toothy. That team I thought could have been like unstoppable. But I don't know. I didn't get to see them a whole lot in the tournament. I'm not sure how it went down for them. But that's too bad they didn't make the finals or anything. I mean, you had Willers playing with Landmark, and was it Dill Hero?
Yeah, Dill Hero. Okay,
all the Punisher champs in that team.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because I that team brings up an interesting things, and the entire game or the entire Rivals brought up something interesting. The people who are known as very aggressive Shift W players did not do as well as the people who are what I like to, and I may catch flack for this, and that's fine. This is my opinion, and I'm going to say it. But the more purist Tarkov players, the non-Call of Duty players, I felt like they did way better than the Shift Ws because they were smart and they thought about it tactically. How do you feel about that?
I completely agree with how you assessed it right there. I mean, this was not a Shift W tournament. And I think we found that out pretty early on. You know, Willer's team came in 10th. I'm not sure where Trey's team came in. I think they made the playoffs, but I don't think they did super well with it. But those gamers, like, if I'm saying who's the best in the world, it's those two teams. And this was not a tournament where their skills really came to the front.
Yeah.
So
do you think, let me ask you this, let me field this question to you. Do you think if those teams had put more diversity into their lineup, and this isn't taking anything away from them, because they are like, I don't want to be on the other end of their barrel ever, but if you had done what Queen did, where she went, okay, I know my players' play styles. I have Arson, who is in that caliber of Landmark and Willers and Dill, who can compete with a Shift W. I have Sharptooth, who's a long-range engagement. He's very patient. He will hold an angle for 45 minutes for the entire raid time. He does not care. And then you have her, who fills in that general all-around role. Do you think if Landmark or them would have split up their team, they might have done better? And I know we're spitballing. It's always a what-if game.
No, this is an amazing point, and I was thinking about this beforehand too. Like, team building in this tournament was so important. If you didn't have a rat on your team, you weren't winning. You had to have someone who was playing this slow, or you just weren't going to win this tournament. That's it. And you saw that with the way some of these teams were constructed. And so I think going forward, as maybe, I mean, I know these guys want to play with their friends. They want to play with the people they play with all the time. But if you want to win Rivals, you need a rat.
Yeah.
You need a rat.
You gotta have that.
I'm a rat myself. If you would like me on your team for next Rivals, I will rat someone to the end. Sign me up.
So let's use this moment to transition into something, because talking about the PMC dog tags found in raid, you get 3 points. None of the players in Rivals had a secure container, and that's kind of the big thing about this podcast today that we're going to talk about is the secure container. So when somebody died, those dog tags that they had killed off of somebody was up for grabs, and each one of those was 3 points. They couldn't secure them, and that means whoever killed them could take whatever they had on them. Now, my biggest question to you, because I think we're on different sides of the container topic, and Clean had speaking of Clean again, I bring him up a lot. He brings a lot of discussion to Tarkov, and I love that. I love that about Clean. That the secure container should be locked when you go into raid. You can only take things out or use things that are in there, but you can't open it. What's your stance on that? Because Rivals showed us something, and my stance is a little weird now.
Yeah, so I have flip-flopped on this over the years. When I was first starting the game, when I was learning how to play the game, I love the fact that you could put a graphics card into your butt and get that out, even if you died. And I think I think that's fantastic for new players because this game is so punishing, and you're gonna want to quit after a while. And
Yeah.
so if you're really struggling with this game and you're not able to get those graphics cards out or those LEDXs or those optimal scopes, those early game quest items that you need to turn in. I know you have to be finding raid for most of those things now, but
Yeah.
it's so useful for a new player
Yeah.
to get to be able to pull some of those things out. But at the same time, I also see the point of, in the end game, when you all just want the loot and it's not a matter of questing anymore. It's just, that stuff you're gonna sell it on the flea, and or you're just gonna, you're gonna stick it in your GPU farm and farm out some sorry, put in your Bitcoin farm and farm out some
Hmm.
Bitcoins. I see the point where you want to be able to fight over that stuff,
Yeah.
and not just, you kill a guy and, oh man, he had the graphics card in his butt and I'm never going to get that.
Yeah.
Um so I see both sides of it, and I'm totally torn on this now because I want the new player to be able to get the LEDX that he needs for, med station level 3, because if you don't have med station level 3, you can't get to the Bitcoin farm.
Right.
And but I also want the PvP oriented players to be able to rush a loot spawn and be able
Hmm.
to fight over that, and not just it's in someone's butt and gone forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is. Um, but I don't. You know what? I don't think BSG is going to change what the
Yeah.
mechanic is anytime soon either. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I mean that's the one thing I want to touch on is because like after watching Rivals, I found it very interesting the no container thing because nobody could put anything in there to secure. So any keys that they had found that on in raid, because we had seen that a few times where people found keys for the place that they were at, so that way they could go search. But like realistically, and this is one of the things I point out over and over, that they're like trying to combat these people sticking stuff into their containers. But how many times is it a level 30 or below that you see sprinting to
Right.
these marked rooms or these locations that have high tier loot? It's always a level 40 or above with nothing on them, hatchet running because they have max stamina. Like by locking the container out, I've always been a proponent that you are hurting, you are 100% hurting the casual player. And I don't mean casual as like they're like the person who loves this game, who likes the hardcore aspect of it, that likes this but doesn't have the time investment into it. That like
Yeah.
the people that are below level 40, like why are we going to punish them? They're not the ones doing this. It's the level 40s and above that are doing this.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And something just sort of came into my mind, and this is fresh, and hasn't been fully thought through yet. But what if, for a new player who maybe needed a quest item like a LEDX, you know how you have like a quest inventory? What if you could put a LEDX into your quest inventory if you needed something for a quest? If you needed that
Mhm.
LEDX for a quest, what if you could put that into your quest inventory? I haven't fully thought this through, so I don't know if there are any drawbacks to that necessarily, or if that wouldn't work. Um, but I do in theory like the idea of a locked container. There's a one-way thing where you can use it, and you can't put things in there. But I also want to help the new player who, is struggling in fights and can't get anything out of raids yet. Um, but still wants to progress and wants to see some sort of progress.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a brutal game, for people when they're first starting. Especially if you're on your own, you don't have anyone to play it with. If
Yeah.
I'm grateful for this community for being what it is, because when I started playing, I would run with five mans who would, protect me.
Mhm.
And they would make sure that I got out alive with the stuff I needed. But there are people who don't have those communities to fall back on, and that we're gonna lose those people.
Yeah,
because game is so punishing.
yeah, we're gonna lose those player bases, and the thing is too, like, I hate the argument that some people have made. They're like, well, we can't do animations are unreasonable, it'd be too hard to implement. The exact same argument was made when meta animations were talked about. They were like, meta animations are they're too hard, they can't be implemented, how would they do that? And people complained in the exact same format when we got meta animations. They were like, no, it's not going to work. It's going to be too hard. Then we got it and everybody adjusted. So saying being able to do an animation of opening the container to access it, to put things in, like, I disagree with that. It could 100% be done. Don't sit there and insult my intelligence by saying, no, it's not feasible, when it's like, no, it really is. Like, we had the same exact arguments when meta animations came in. So, like, yes, it could be done. Do I think that's the best solution? No. For me, because you want to know, here's the thing. The people complain about what people put in to their container. I complain about what people bring in their container. I don't care that you found a LEDX and stuck it in your container. It's loot that I wasn't going to find anyways. Yeah, if I killed you and I took it, yeah, cool, I've got it. I want those 3 mags of 60 round 995 that you have sitting in your container.
That I would agree. That is super fucking annoying. I hate seeing people, and I don't blame people for doing it because they're allowed to do it in the game. But I hate when people have like 2 60 rounders in their Kappa.
Yeah,
and it's like, what? Like, oh my god! Like,
I have 140 extra rounds of ammo in my Kappa container that if I die, I still get to keep that $11 a round. Like, I get to keep this. You don't get it from me. The other thing is
60 round mags that are fucking expensive too.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing that, like, people are mad about what people are putting in while in raids. I'm mad about the things that, like, if we're locking the container, why not just have more unlootable slots on our character then? Why even have a container? Yeah. Because think about it. Why not have another unlootable lot like the compass? Give me a key ring slot where I can put all my keys, never have to worry about losing them. They can't be insured. They're always on my body. Give me a dog tag slot where I can just stack dog tags and over and over and over. They're not lootable. They're my dog tags. Like, sitting here and saying we're going to lock the container out of things to put into it just makes it a non-lootable slot for things that we could just put on our character's body, and it makes the container entirely pointless.
Yeah, I think it's well said. Although I will say that, the container grind of, if you're starting on a basic account, standard account, going from the bare bones container all the way up to Kappa, that's kind of a cool progression.
Yeah.
And so the game would lose out on that a little bit. But I like what you're saying there with the dog tag slot and the key slot. Those are interesting points. I think that would be cool to implement. I think I would like to see that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, because if we're just gonna do that, if we're just gonna make the secure container a place for you to stick things that you're never going to remove from there, just make them unlootable locations. Like, what's the point of the container? And exactly like you said, and this is something that people who have been playing this game for a long time, that have had EOD for a long time, forget. And as somebody like me, I didn't start on EOD. I started on standard. I played most of this game up until the last year on a standard account because God, I enjoyed it. Like, it was like I that grind of going up and up. This was before we had hideout and I could make my stash bigger. I learned how to put stuff inside of stuff to then put more stuff inside of other stuff. Like, I knew, I knew what containers could go inside what containers to make up 5 extra slots so I could store this for this task that was coming up. Like, don't sit here and like, don't forget what it's like for these people who don't own EOD, that have this little 2x2 box to put stuff in. They're not the ones causing an issue.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably talk this issue back and forth until we're red. Like, I don't know. There's so many different things to think about with the container. I don't know if we can solve it in one fell swoop. I think everyone has their own their own thoughts on what to do with the container. Like I know like Arx Messor is in the chat. I know he was on a podcast with Church earlier this year. I think it was maybe a couple weeks ago. They were talking about the container a lot. It's it's a difficult subject, and I have thoughts on it. You have thoughts on it. Everyone in the community has their own opinion on the container. And yeah, that's what I love about this game. Everybody has their own thoughts about how to play it, how to play it out. And it's a fantastic game, and I love playing it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is like for me right now, the contention that I see so much is about the container, and realistically, the container wasn't really an issue, and this is the truth. The container is a symptom of a bigger problem with Tarkov right now, and I know that it's not going anywhere, and I'm one of the proponents. I'm one of the people that have said for the longest time the game was better before this thing came in. It was a slower game. It was a more methodical game. It took longer to progress. The economy was better stabilized, and the container argument to me has been a symptom of the flea market.
Okay.
Now, were you a before or after flea market player?
I'm post flea market.
So you've always had the flea market.
Yeah, I've known nothing but flea market my Tarkov life.
Okay. And I'm obviously a way before the flea market kind of player. And for me, and it's one of those things when you talk to players who were before the flea market, almost like unanimously we say the game was better before the flea market. The game was harder. It was slower paced. You saw that 2-week span after a wipe where everybody's running garbage.
Right.
Imagine that 2-week span, but 3 months.
Yeah. That's the best part of the game, right? It's the early wipe period where everyone's running trash, fights take longer. Everyone loves that part of wipe. It's why everybody comes back for it. So maybe they need to lose the flea market, but then I think the player base takes a hit. I do think you lose a bunch of people if you drop the flea market, unfortunately. I hate to use this word, but I'm not going to use the word low playtime players. Yeah, is what I'm going to call them. I think you lose a bunch of them. Yeah, because they don't have access to the weapons they want to run. And I'll play this game as much as I can. I love it. But some people, they're just playing for an hour or two on the weekends. Yeah, and they want to be able to run a kitted out M4. And maybe this is not the game for them, but as it's currently constituted, they can do that. And shoot, who am I to say otherwise, man? If that's what they want to do, go for it. I think that we will take a hit from the player base standpoint if we drop the flea market. Here's and let me, and I don't mean to cut you off, but this is one thing that I've thought about, and because BSG has already stated they're not getting rid of the flea market. They've put a lot of work into it. They're not going to throw that work away. One of the things that I think it's a compound of, I think, two real issues. I think one of the biggest issues is we don't have the auction house yet, which is supposed to be the other side of the flea market. You put stuff up for auction. You know what I mean? Flea markets buy it now from eBay. Auction house is bid on it from eBay. You know what I mean? That's how I think of it. So since we don't have both aspects of it, I feel like the economy suffers because of that. The other thing that I don't agree with and I don't like about the flea market is people selling things that vendors have for more than the vendor has it for. Because realistically, if I'm buying it from the vendor, it's a new item. If I'm buying it from you, it's a used item. I don't go to my local flea market here and spend more on an item for them that I know's probably either, used or whatever, when I could go to the store and buy it for new for less of a value. You know what I mean? You spend a lot of time at your local flea market, Bunny?
No, I don't. But I'm just saying, like, really, I've been to a lot of flea markets. Okay. Like, let's.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking. So I wanna shout out Nice Guy right now, because I was listening to his show the other day, and he was talking about a change you can make to the flea market. I don't know if I'm on board with this or not yet, but I thought it was an interesting point where you have some delay in the amount of time between buying the item and receiving the item.
Hmm.
Now, I don't think it's fully been thought out yet, and I think there are probably some drawbacks to it. But I think it's an interesting point, and I think what you said earlier about BSG they're not taking away the flea market. I agree with that. It's here to stay. Um, but there are definitely some things we could do to change it, and maybe make it more conducive. But I do miss the days of just playing the flea, to be perfectly honest with you. Like I was one of the people who would just play the flea market. And on Friday nights, you can come find me doing flea market analysis on Twitch too.
He's doing stonks. Like he's sitting there with his stonks board. He's got it all up. He's like, all right, we can see the dip. Buy in the dip. Buy bolts are in the dip. Buy him now. Buy him now.
Absolutely. Flea market stuff is so fun. Like there's so many different aspects to this game that you can play, and the flea market is just one of those things.
Now, speaking of the flea market, because I think my other issue with the flea market is, selling stuff that these vendors, you're in Tarkov, these are black market vendors, right? Like realistically, if you're selling something that they sell for like, they're going to be mad about that. And I feel like our rep should really be reflective of that. If we are undercutting, or not even undercutting, but if we're selling items that they sell, whether it's for more or for less, and well, if it's for more, I don't think that they should care as much, but if it's for less, I think they should like, it should hurt our rep with them.
I think either way, because why, if you had an item and you know that people are selling it for like double what you're selling it for, why wouldn't you increase your price?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Like, what if trader prices started reflecting the pricing that players are posting? Yeah. And then the other thing that I think should happen is, realistically, I don't think we as players, whether it's found in raid or off of another person, I don't think we should be able to sell items that vendors have. I think that'd be a really interesting way to do it.
I'm not sure what the effects of that down the line would be. But that is a really interesting point. At least maybe they would have to cut back on the amount of items that vendors have. Because then the flea market would be pretty light.
Yeah, well, and I'm not talking about like trade. Like, I think vendors should have more trade item, like bartering, because you know that's their whole jobs is bartering. So I think we should have more barter options for everything. And if players find barter items, they can sell those for rubles. Like, it's like, this Proper only has this AK. It's only for a barter. He wants another stupid horse. So, but I found an AK, I can just sell it. You know what I mean? So I would like to see more of that. But I don't think we should be able to directly sell what the vendors have without taking a giant hit to rep with those vendors.
Yeah, that's a great point. I would love to see that as well. I would also love to see more barters in general, and more crafting options in general too.
Yeah.
There's so many items that are just completely useless.
Yeah.
Let me do something with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad they've added a lot of different barters, a lot of different crafts over the past year. That's been really exciting to see. I hope they continue to add more, because I love going in the hideout and crafting random stuff and selling it on the flea.
So two things I want to point out real quick. Unseen said that would nerf nerf Kiba and other W spawns, and that's true. If you couldn't sell a LEDX on the flea market because it's because Therapist sells it now, there's no reason for people to run for those items. So it would reduce those shift W. And then something else that was just and I forgot about this. I forgot that BSG tried the dynamic pricing, and Pesley and a lot of the other bigger streamers gamed it. I honestly forgot about that, because it's something they can do. They can adjust, that's why Bitcoin prices fluctuates the way it does. I forgot all about that, because it was only for 2 weeks. It was only for it was a very short time that they were doing I'm trying to remember exactly the whole circumstance. It was like a patch. We got a patch. It had the dynamic pricing in it. And then people started gaming it. And then BSG removed it very quickly, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yeah, if people are going to have a way to game something, they're going to do it. And Pestley's chat is very adept at that. So.
I mean, when you have that many, Lupo could do it. Like when you have 10,000 people watching you at any given moment, and they're very dedicated to you, you could sit there and just go, "Hey guys, I mean, if Pestley wanted, he could take over every single server that he plays on. He could do whatever. You know what I mean? You
can totally affect the market with that many people. Absolutely. Yeah. You don't even need that many. Yeah. If you have a few hundred viewers, you can probably affect the market.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something I'm regardless of how we feel about a lot of stuff, it's one of those things where I like discussing this. I like hearing the community's feedback. I just love it. I think it's very interesting topics because this is a game all of us are very passionate about. We love it. Whether no matter what side you feel about the containers, about competitions, about anything in Tarkov, everybody loves this game and we want it to succeed for the most part.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's got so much potential. It can be the greatest game ever made. And that's not even that's not even an overstatement. This game has so much potential. And you know what? Even the people who complain about it, I know they love it deep down. Mm-hmm. I know they love it.
Yep. I know they love it. They really do. Well, what we're gonna do is I'm trying to make these. I want these podcasts to be about an hour long. We're coming right up on that. So once again, I want to thank you guys for hanging out today. I want to thank you, Tarkov Reporter, for joining me for this again. It has been a great first episode. I would love to have you back, in the future so we can discuss more things. It's been a blast.
I've had so much fun. Thank you for having me, Bunny.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. I'm glad you could be my inaugural guest here. Do me a favor, Tarkov Reporter. Once again, let everybody know where they can find you each and every day, whether it's on Twitch, whatever. Give people the spill about you.
For sure. So again, twitch.tv/Tarkov Reporter. Right now, I stream in the evenings 5 days a week. And hoping to expand that a little bit. You can also find me at Tarkov Reporter on just about every social media platform. And one thing coming out tomorrow, I also have my own podcast on Spotify and YouTube, which I will ask you on very soon, Bunny. I have a podcast coming out tomorrow with Arson and Krazen on their experience in the Rivals tournament. So look out for that on YouTube and Spotify. Tarkov Reporter in both those places. And I think the Spotify podcast is called Live from Tarkov. So go check me out. And thank you everybody for hanging out in chat. Saw a bunch of familiar faces, familiar names in chat. Hope to see y'all again soon. I love talking about Tarkov. And thanks again, Bunny.
Dude, thank you so much, guys. I know it's been a little choppy today. My upload was being very weird. I did record all of this locally. I will be posting it to YouTube. It will be up on YouTube tomorrow, and then all of the audio will also be out on wherever you like to listen to your podcast. So if you guys want to go back or anything like that, guys, seriously, thank you so much for joining me. This is something I have been working on behind the scenes for months. I remember sending out a tweet 3 months ago saying, guys, I want feedback. Who's interested in this? So thank you all for joining me on this adventure. We will be doing this bi-weekly, where I will sit down and talk with somebody from the community each and every time. And pick their brains about what they think of the state, things like that. I honestly couldn't have asked for a better guest. Guys, if you have any questions or anything interesting that you want us to talk about on the podcast, I do have a podcast forum chat thing in my Discord. Make sure you join my Discord. Post anything about the podcast, like weather, feedback, all of that stuff. It means the world to me. Guys, once again, my name is Unfluffy Bunny. You can find me here on Twitch every single day, usually from 1 until whenever I get tired or hungry. I'm also on Twitter at UnfluffyBunny_, YouTube, TikTok, all of those things. You can find my socials in the chat. Tarkov Reporter, man, thank you once again for joining me. I super appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Bunny. This was a lot of fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah, definitely. All right, chat. We're going to end it there. Thank you guys once again. And I will see you guys next time. Have a great one.